Guys, I saw the movie yesterday, and when Michael Moore and these guys make these kind of comments, it takes it completely out of context. To your point, Anna, it's a pretty simple thing. You watch the movie; he saved American lives, and he went through a tough struggle to do it. But it was a job that had to be done. Look at the death toll that we had protecting people in a different country, because that's what America does. We've been the world's policeman, and guess what's happened over the time we've become the world's policeman? 1 billion people in other countries have moved into the middle class. We had India on TV earlier. If it wasn't for Americans dying around the world, the rest of the world would be in abject poverty. We have saved the planet, and if we go away as America's policemen, it's going to be hell to pay for everyone.
Thank you, Charles Payne. So true.
I mean, these guys, not only do they buy into the propaganda and the indoctrination, they embrace it, and they want to make out with it, and they want to have sex with it. Like, they really are under the impression that America can do no wrong ever, and we have done no wrong ever. I would argue that since we became the world policeman, virtually every post-World War II intervention that we've done, bar maybe 2 or 3, they've been bad. I mean, take Vietnam, for example. The argument was, if we don't go into Vietnam and fight a war there, next thing we know, communism is going to come to our doorstep in Wisconsin. Now, that was absolutely a bullshit argument. Vietnam was under colonial rule for a very long time, for decades, and they were trying to liberate themselves. It's not like after they finished taking back their own country, they're like, all right, guys, when do we invade America? Of course not. That's absolutely absurd. But that's what the argument was. The argument was Russia is so strong, and China fell, and then you're going to have Vietnam fall, and then it's going to be Laos and the Philippines, and they created this scenario in their head which was totally made up and totally based on fear and not rationality. And so we sent people to go fight and die, to fight the ideology of communism, when it wasn't even a question of whether or not communism was coming to America. It was how the country of Vietnam was going to structure their own government. I thought if we really believe in freedom, we think, okay, other countries have a right to disagree with us and implement whatever kind of political philosophy they want because they have the freedom to do so. So that was a pathetic war, a ridiculous war. We lost millions of people, and millions of civilians on their side, I should say, whereas we lost, I think it was 59,000 American brave young men and women who died fighting for a cause that they thought was noble, but their politicians and their leaders lied to them. See, being in favor of the troops means saying what I just said right there. Saying, I'm going to stand up for the troops when they're being sent to fight stupid wars that they shouldn't be fighting in. That's really supporting the troops, saying, hey, the only time we should use the troops is when we absolutely have to defend the nation from an imminent attack. So Vietnam was silly. You go down the list and you name all the different interventions. How many governments did we topple in South America, whether it's Chile or whether it's other governments? We toppled the government of Iran in 1953. We put in dictators in all these different places to help our own corporations and set up literal banana republics were set up. I don't know if you guys know the story about where the term Banana Republic came from, but long story short, American corporations, the Chiquita Banana Company, they wanted the bananas in certain regions, so we went in there, toppled a democratic government, and took the fucking bananas. But they act like, no, we're only doing it to be the world policeman and to be humanitarian. Really? That's what it is? It's all about us just being altruistic people across the board? And the idea of, see, again, especially with Iraq, when they talk about Iraq, that one pisses me off on another level, because they made it seem like they keep moving the goalposts. Like, originally George W. Bush said, well, Saddam Hussein was responsible for 9/11, so that's why we have to invade. Then when we found out that wasn't true, they moved the goalpost to just, well, Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and he plans on using them in America. Well, that wasn't true either. Number one, he didn't have weapons of mass destruction. Number two, even if he did, the idea he was going to use them immediately on the U.S. is total bullshit. He was our ally for a really long time. And then they just moved the goalpost again when everybody found out that was bullshit too. He's just a bad guy. So they kept changing the rationale for the war. And meanwhile, brave young American men and women are dying, and we're not pulling out. The second we learned it was the reasoning for the war was wrong, we should have pulled them out immediately. And I thought the whole purpose of fighting a war on terror after 9/11 was simply to get Osama bin Laden because he was responsible for coming up with the plan, and Zarqawi coming up with the plan to do 9/11. Well, okay, so the way you respond to that is you kill those guys and that's it. You're done. Mission accomplished, son. Let's pack it up and everybody come home. But no, we keep fighting there, and then idiots like the people on Fox come out and they argue for perpetual war. You know, it reminds me of, I forgot who said it. There was this fantastic quote. I wish I could give credit, but I'm really drawing a blank on who said it. That, oh, the American people are going to bring freedom and democracy to the people of Iraq if we have to kill every last one of them. And that's so true. Oh, at minimum 200,000 civilians dead in Iraq. That's the conservative number. But this dunce, Charles Payne, has the nerve to go live on air and say, oh, you know, the American people, these guys, the soldiers were protecting us, and the world should thank us because we've kept the planet free, and we've created middle classes all around the world because of us, and blah, 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 blah. Enough, man, enough.